Hey warriors, welcome to Live Free TV. My name is Sara, Live Free Warrior. Today we're talking about yoga injuries. I hear this a lot of times about people who have gotten hurt practicing yoga. The truth is, the honest truth, if you're practicing yoga correctly, you can't get hurt. With me, Javier Olmedo, mi esposo, my husband, Yogi, no longer yoga student, technically.
No, you make me sign that waiver. I receive a lot of messages actually, people telling me that they want to move, they want to learn how to practice, but they're really afraid of getting injured doing yoga.
Do you think it's a mindset thing too though?
I think it's a combination. It's when you're trying to show off and you're trying to do more things that you're ready to, or you don't have the right teacher. That's my personal opinion.
Well, you don't know, because you can get hurt by not knowing, you know?
The right alignment is key. Can you explain a little bit more of that?
Absolutely. When you have the solid foundation for the posture that you're doing, the same goes for exercise, the same goes for a recipe. If you don't have the basics down and you start to add something else to it, right, you're gonna screw it up. If you don't have the basics down, the foundation of the pose, the alignment, then whatever else you add on top of it, right, can go awry.
How I can get the right foundation, how I can really know where my hands has to be, where my feet has to be. Because we saw a lot in the downward facing dog even, it's the basic pose, but if you cannot put your heels on the ground, then you need to flex your knees, that kind of tricks. How I know where exactly how to position it?
You gotta do your research, you gotta do your homework, find a great teacher who can show you the alignment. There are also other classes out there. Iyengar is a yoga practice that you can do that teaches specifically for alignment. Or doing your own research, but then trying it on your own body. That's another way that I learned and developed over time. Studying the anatomy and the structure of how the body works, what I'm doing, how I'm moving, and most importantly, how it feels. At the end of the day, yoga needs to feel good.
Yeah. And now that you're saying at the end of the day, it's other thing that we need to understand. We don't gonna correct 20 hours of bad posture, sitting like this, moving your neck in 20 minutes of yoga. So it's good to do these little breaks during the day.
That's a great question. For me, whenever someone's trying to take on a new yoga practice, I say do it when you can do it. Commit to doing it. The easiest way is to do it first thing in the morning because you haven't allowed any other excuse, any other to-do to get in the middle of your way. That's gonna give you that excuse that you don't have to. The real yoga isn't necessarily just the posture, it's what you're doing every single moment of the day. So even if you're sitting and you start to slouch forward, yoga is awareness of what your body's doing to sit up straight, and most importantly, breathe.
There's a lot of exercises that you teach about this. And actually now that I mentioned this, is to create a discipline, is to get the habit, no? Give me 2 or 3 tips to start making yoga part of my habits, my daily habits, the things that I need to do every day.
Schedule it in. The first, most important to creating any new habit, schedule it in like you would a hair appointment, like you would a business meeting. Put it in your calendar, make every notification go off to say, this time is for me. Sorry kids, sorry esposa, this time is for me. The other important tip, leave your mat out and leave your clothes out. So there's really, you're gonna trip on the mat or you're gonna see it. And that visual cue reminds you, this is my yoga time.
Many of us have a lot of excuses to no practice. If I ask anybody in the audience the 10 reasons they cannot practice yoga, they can really come easily
there's no
with
time,
excuses.
They can't touch their toes, oh,
they're overweight,
too busy, I can't do handstands. Really, yoga isn't about that shit of doing handstands, it's about breathing and becoming self-aware.
Give me a little more information about that. Everybody wants to practice for the reason of doing these crazy poses, but it's really another way to heal your body, and it's really that important to achieve those poses, or it's a continuous movement?
I mean, I'll tell a personal story without diverging too much. When I first started yoga, I wanted to learn those poses too. I was doing yoga to burn calories, to gain muscle, to be fit, and yeah, to take some of those selfie photos of look what I can do. The irony is now that I've been teaching for about 7-8 years, I mean, I started teaching that many years ago, and I can do all the postures. I don't do them. I really rarely ever do the postures aside from headstands because they help invert my legs after doing cardio and exercise or when we travel. That being said, what you're asking, the benefit of doing those postures, the upside, right? There's advantages and disadvantages to everything. You don't need to, but if it mentally challenges you to prove and to self-convince yourself that you're strong, you are worthy, you can, then that I think is a good side benefit of it. However, the posture itself, that's the bullshit part. But what you're changing in your mind, that's the yoga.
And talking about that, the other big myth is like if you're overweight, you should not practice yoga. Or I know a lot of people who goes to the yoga class to burn calories. You want to talk about that?
I would suggest to find the right class. So if you are either underweight, and I've been there too, or if you're overweight, find the right class that focuses more on self-awareness, on alignment, and stay away from possibly some of the heat-induced classes. So like a Bikram, so any of the hot yoga classes. Find a class that teaches more the spiritual side, and I think you're gonna benefit greater in a shorter period of time for the longer term. Does that make sense?
Yes, and sharing a personal story actually, I never practiced yoga to lose weight, but it was a really smart way to keep track of how I'm feeling, how I'm eating, because I realized that eating certain foods don't allow me to practice.
Like, I remember one of these stories.
Or drinking.
Aha.
Yeah.
That's where we're going with this.
Really, yoga will help you to create better habits because it induces you to a practice, to a discipline, to a self-awareness, no? What is the last thing you want to say to people who is really afraid to practice yoga?
Learn why you're afraid. Get really clear. Be honest with yourself. Why are you afraid to practice? And when you write that fear out, then write out 2 other things. The worst case scenario outcome, and then the best case scenario outcome. And at the end of the day, when you figure out what you think the worst is, probably like you're gonna get hurt, right? Well, we just touched on that from the beginning. If you're doing it properly, there goes that fear. So it looks like you only have the positive benefits left. Try it, commit to at least 21 days of doing it, 28 if you're doing my program, 90 if you're doing his, and see how your body feels after.
Maybe to do the homework.
At the end of the day, you can watch all these videos you want on how to and what to do, but what's most important is what you are actually doing, your actions.
So thank you for watching Live Free Warrior R9DD TV. Síganme en Instagram and Facebook. We're gonna keep creating this kind of content.
Thanks for tuning in, Live Free Warriors. This is Sarah. If you have any comments, questions, send them on below. I want to hear more of what you are curious about or what your fear is for not practicing yoga. Now get to the mat. Let's get moving.